Trapp, man, how you doing?
What's up, Eric? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for doing this.
You got it, man.
Where does it start, man? Where does it start for you?
It's funny. It's kind of dumb luck, I guess, maybe. Um, I've always been in the shooting, and I think that most of us that are in that at this high competitive level um, have some kind of an ADD, right? We we you almost have to be as precise as we are with ammunitions and rifles and everything else. So I've always had the drive to shoot very small groups. And kind of start off with, like everybody else, a Remington 700 of some type, 5R, PSS, or, whatever, or Savage. Those seem to be, at that time, 2011 timeframe, 2010-11 timeframe. Those were the ones. So I'd been shooting at a local range in Virginia Beach, and a guy by the name of Andrew Lopez had stopped me and talked to me. And he was like, "Hey, you should come try this F-class stuff. Your guns and your equipment are plenty good enough." So I took him up on the offer, and I went down to Camp Butner, down in North Carolina. 4.5 hours away. And from that I think my first shot ever at range was 800 yards. It was a Palma day, and man, it was over after that. I was hooked. And it wasn't much longer after that. I took that 700 PSS, and I made it a 6.5 Lapua, and I was in the open game, with a Sinclair front end adapter to make it like a 3-inch adapter. I bought a Farley rest right off the go, and man, we were off to the races, and I kind of started shooting really good scores right out of the gate. And we progressed through that. I think everybody that progresses, you start out following the spotter. That's what everybody does right off the gate, right? You follow the spotter, you're a little left, you move some, so on and so forth. And then you hit that progression where you go kind of downhill. You decide it's time to get better. I want to stop shooting nines. And you're like, all right, I'm going to figure this win thing out. And then your scores just plummet, to the bottom because you're learning.
And the reason we make at some point that transition is because it works really good to chase the spotter, but only some of the time, right? And then when the winds get up,
right,
our scores tank, and then we see the other people that their scores still stay pretty good, and it's like, wait a minute, how are they doing that? And then you realize, well, they're reading the wind, and you're like, okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna learn how to read the wind. I'm gonna stop chasing the spotter, and all of a sudden, like you said, scores tank, and now we find ourselves in a very difficult situation, right? It's like, I was doing better when I was chasing the spotter. Should I go back to that? But then you realize that the right way to go about this is to learn how to read the wind. If you're gonna stay consistent. How did that go for you? Because I know how it went for me, and it was a tough time.
Yeah, it was rough. I picked it up pretty quick. I was also lucky. I had guys like Kenny Adams, who's was a F-class world champion, that came up from Florida to Camp Butner all the time. Danny Biggs, and I had a lot of old school guys that shot very well, and I was able to ask questions. I had the FTR side, Jim Crofts and Phil Kelly and all those guys, Tracy Hogg. And then Butner is well known for their high power stuff too. Guys like Kent Reeves, who's won everything on the planet. And the good thing is you ask them questions and they would give you a truthful, honest answer, which was awesome.
Now, that is obviously very, very helpful. But what you do with that information, I think, is either what's going to lead you to getting more help or lead you to stop getting help, right? Because you know what it's like when you ask somebody or somebody, now you're in a position where people ask you questions, right? You with me?
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. My new house, the internet is not the best yet. We're working on that.
No problem. So what I was saying is, I think what led for you to get more help is the way you would ask the questions and what you would do with that information. Because I know now you're in a position where people ask you questions, right?
Right. Right.
And believe it or not, most people don't realize this, but we pay attention to who we help and what they're going to do with that information. And if you find that you spend your time helping somebody and then they go and they do totally something opposite or different than what you told them, you're not going to be very eager to help that person the next time, are you?
Not really. I mean, I say not really, but I find myself still doing it. But it's funny you say that because 9 times out of 10, you'll have a guy or girl come ask you a question, and you'll tell them, "I'm very truthful. This is it's not like drag racing or anything like that. There's no secret answer. I'll tell you exactly everything I'm doing, low data, everything." And once I tell them that, I expect them to go forth and do things with that. Or do, but a lot of times they don't. They'll just they'll take bits and pieces of that and apply it, or they'll do nothing with it and they'll do their own thing still. And then they'll wonder why they're still having the same problems.
Yeah, or even worse, I've seen it happen where I'll help somebody. They'll call me up, or those rare times where I give somebody my cell phone number and say, "Look, I'll help you," and they'll call me up, and then they'll ask me a question, and I'll spend however long it takes to make sure they get
Yep.
it, and then I get on Facebook or online on Accurate Shooter, and then they're asking, I have 20 minutes after I told them that they're asking the same question, which tells me pretty much what I had to say meant nothing, or maybe they're just
Right.
looking for confirmation. I don't know what they're doing, but at least for me, as I'll help people too, but it's at some point it gets to that point. But anyway, so you have all these people helping you, all these world class shooters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're applying all this information.
Yep. Yep.
How did
And
that
then
go for you?
it actually went very well. It went pretty. I had a quick ascent up, I guess you could say. I picked things up very quickly. The winning started going very well, and then it kind of all started. Like I went to the kind of the bigger stage when I got the call from Shiraz to join Team Grizzly, which was an interesting experience all in itself. Shooting on here I am, the guy that's won a regional and maybe a state match, not much. And here I am shooting with, Shiraz and Kenyatta, world champion, and Emil, who's a national champion, and Johnny Myers, who's a national champion and Southwest Nationals champion, and then me, the guy who's won nothing. Really, I mean, compared to. So that was interesting. And that was kind of my jump into the big scene of things. And that was also about the same time I joined the Team USA's open team.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, we just kept going up and up and up from there in the open side of the house.
So how did joining a team help you? Did that help you, like being on a 4-man team?
It did, because there's a camaraderie piece of it, like as any team. But you also, like, I had a full access to that quality of shooters, and I could ask questions, and I could see that the way the concept of things. Our win coach on the team was Trudy Fay, who's absolutely phenomenal, as you've shot under. Yeah. And I could see the way that she went about things, the way she kind of read wind, the way she would start shooting into wind, and when she would come out, when was the cutoff for her, was it whatever that may be. So I got to learn a lot of different aspects that I've kind of taken back and applied to individual shooting. So shooting wise, it's kind of still the same. The way your strategy, I guess the strategy of it's probably what you can apply to your individual shooting too. Because a lot of guys, they'll just get up, all right, the time started, and they go bang, 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 and they're done. They shoot their string and they're done. When maybe the strategy was, the wind is up and all the flags are blowing right now. Maybe 10 minutes from now, they're not. Maybe you'll get a 5-minute lull, or maybe you'll get a couple minute stretches where you can get 10 off or 8 off or whatever the case is. So figuring that strategy out and seeing the way they did things really helped me individually on how kind of I approached each each match or each relay, depending on what was going on with conditions.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch somebody like Trudy coach because she has no fear of jumping in, jumping out, stop, wait it out, jump back in, jump out. You
Right.
know what I mean? She just
A lot of guys are terrified to do that.
she's just very comfortable with the wind, and it seems like pressure never gets to her because she knows what she's doing, right?
Yeah.
And as you know, I've shot under her as well, and it's just amazing the way she interacts with the wind. You know, she just open your bolt. We're gonna wait. It's gonna be about 2 minutes or so, and you just relaxes. You know, put your head down, whatever. Just and then she'll just let you know. Okay, we're about to go, and
Right.
rip it. You know, and then she'll give you this
Yeah.
call. That part of me was going, really? Okay. Bah! X. Holy shit. and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and you have no choice but to learn from that, right? If you're smart, you're gonna learn from that. To
Right.
see how somebody of her caliber can just dance with the wind and not be afraid to make a gutsy call like that. You know,
Right.
it's amazing to watch. What about having access to the other shooters? You know, like to this is the one thing that most people don't realize how helpful it is to be on a team because the other shooters will, man, they'll just share everything with you once you're on the team.
Right. Right. It's all at that point. It's no longer the individual sport. It's all about the big team, right? It's all about the 8-man team if you're on the big team, or the 4-man team if you're on one of the Rutland teams, or Richardson Cup teams. Did I get that backwards?
Rutland, yeah, it's Rutland. It's a 4-man team.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But it's that they want to succeed, and whatever it is, whatever it takes. Even from the guys that are world champions, you know, individually, they want to win just like we do, you know. So it's the sharing of all guns and ammo and everything included.
Oh yeah, and it's not like, I don't know how to put this, but it's not like the team is out to have secrets, but they exist, right? They exist, and
Yeah.
a lot of this information that gets shared, it's under the understanding that, hey, this stays here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot, you can't even share with your friends a lot of it because, you know, once
Yeah.
it's that information is so valuable that once it gets out, they will know somebody leaked that information. And it's
Some of it takes so much time and effort and money, and just to figure out that little bitty piece. And it may not be much, but it may be the difference between a 10 or an X or a flyer or not, or, you know, whatever the case may be.
yeah, I mean, it's so strange that, like you said, it might be something that seems minor. Like I did an interview with Bob Bach, and he told me that when he was the captain, he discovered or they decided that they're going to sort bullets base to tip. And of course, this is 2009. They decided this is what works, you know? And of course, it was a big team secret at the time. And
Right.
nowadays, it's just one of those things that most people, if you tell them, that they won't believe you. But I've done it, and it works. You know, just base to tip, and it's just one of those. You know, it seems
You're right.
minor.
It does work.
It seems minor at now, but back then it was a big deal. You know.
Yeah. You know, when I joined Grizzly, Shiraz, he gave me a full list on pointing bullets. He said, "Do it this way. You know, do this, this, and this, and this. Don't share any of this, and it will work." And man, it worked. I didn't have to do any of that research or any of that trial or error, and it worked right out of the go.
Yeah, we have what we call the reloading manifesto on our 4-man team, Team Lapua. And every time
Yeah.
we bring on a new shooter, it's like, here, do not let this get out. And it helps. It works. And you know how we know it works? Because every time we give it to somebody, their scores go
Their
way
scores.
up, and
Yep.
their guns just start shooting like lasers. And it's just something that has been developed over years and years, and not only over
Yep.
years, but over team members coming together and sharing information and cherry picking what works the best. But yeah, I tell people if there's one thing that you need to do is join a team, join a 4-man team, but get on a team with people that are willing to share information.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it really is a good time. And you learn so much. I mean, there's so much to learn from it, but it is a really, really good time.
Oh yeah. So so you get on a 4-man team now. You're on Team Grizzly. And how does that go? I mean, do you have any performance anxiety when you go to the line with these superstars?
Yeah. So, I think at first they wanted to make me the cleanup shooter. First time ever shooting them, they wanted to make me the cleanup shooter.
Wow.
I'm like,
all right. So the question was, what did you have any performance anxiety shooting with all these superstars? And you said they want to make you the cleanup shooter.
Yeah. So they were gonna throw me in the cleanup shooter spot.
Explain to people what that means.
So when you're in the cleanup spot, so you're the last shooter on the team. So basically, for the most part, everybody has a good running total of where you sit for the team match. So you can win it for the team or you can lose it for the team, but it's a lot of pressure. And you know that laying down. Like I said, everybody talks and right.
We discussed the cleanup shooter being the last shooter on the team and how much pressure that brings.
It's a lot. I actually filled that role for the U.S. team in 2017, and it's a lot of pressure. So thank God Kenny got me out of it for my first shoot ever at a big match with the national championship team. And so I score the first two shooters. I'm on 61 scoring, and they're shooting on 62. So two shooters shoot, and I can't believe I'm about to tell the story. So we swap. One guy goes over to shoot, and now it's my turn to shoot third. And Trudy is calm, nice and calm as always. She goes, "All right, Keith, give me a 3 left on target 62." Bang, goes away. Target doesn't go down. Well, I'd scored target 61 with the last two shooters, so I sure as shit put one on target 61. So my first ever shot with Team Grizzly under Trudy Fay, I crossfired.
Wow.
And without missing a beat, Trudy, just as calm as ever, she goes, "Keith, that was great. That's a great shot. We got a 10, but it's on target 61. We're on target 62. So let's give me a 2 left on target 62, please."
She just flies past it, right? That's amazing thing about her. She doesn't freak out or nothing. Like, she reinforces the good shot first. And then it's like, how about you put it over here where it belongs, buddy?
Yeah, I was so embarrassed. Man, I was embarrassed. And then, like I said, without missing beat, she just kept on going. And I think I shot I don't even remember what I shot, 198 or 199, something like that. Mm-hmm. Even though I crossfired with my first ever sighter with Team Grizzly or under Trudy. So that's my claim to fame with Team Grizzly. And of course, Kenny Adams being the way he was, he never let me live that down. Still doesn't to this day.
Oh man, yeah, I can imagine. I wish I could have had a GoPro in front of Shiraz's face when you did that. I bet you that was.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look back to see what Shiraz looked. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's not what you do. You just keep your head down and get back into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was Trudy's. She made me her cleanup guy at the World Championship. She said, "Yep. Eric, I want you to go last because I know you can handle the pressure and you can shoot fast, you can shoot slow. I need you to go last." Okay, and believe it or not, it was a huge honor for her to tell me that. I know you can handle the pressure, so I'm going to make you go last. Perfect. Let's go.
That was the cool thing about the shooting for the big team in 2017. I had Mead, Nancy, and Michelle. That combo was. I mean, it gives me goosebumps. Honestly, it's that kind of an honor to shoot. Here I am, the cleanup shooter under Mead Tompkins. I mean, that's as good as it gets in my book.
Exactly. So now you're on Team Grizzly, and you guys obviously you guys have stout team. I mean, there's some really strong teams out there, but Grizzlies is one of those. They
Right.
uh, and obviously the dynamic changes. Right now, you have all these people that you can call and ask questions. Of course, you're being coached by Trudy, so you're starting to pick up on the wind reading, right? On the
Right.
techniques or the strategies and all that good stuff. How does that change your shooting, your style, or even your confidence in shooting?
Well, it brings a big confidence when you perform well for the team. You can perform well individually. You know what I mean? It gives you confidence in you as a shooter, and it gives you confidence in your equipment, which I think is just as important as you as the shooter. So it kind of it rules those errors out, and then it becomes those are the big things, right? You as a shooter, the wind, and your equipment. Those are the big three of shooting. So like you can kind of cut those two out, and then it just becomes, hey, I'm a pretty good shooter, and I have good equipment, and I suck at reading the wind.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, it really helps you. It can really help eliminate, or you can shoot under Trudy or somebody else like that, a world class coach, and your gun doesn't perform. You know that it's either you or the ammo. 9 times out of 10, it's usually the ammo.
Yeah, and it's crystal clear because Trudy, you can go start shooting for her, right? And you're done shooting, and she'll say something, or even one or two shots on the gun, and she'll say, "Your zero is a quarter minute off. Give me a quarter left." She just
Yeah.
knows what the shots are supposed to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She just knows, and it's amazing.
And that's the cool thing too, is I've been able to, on the coaching side, I've learned to be able to learn things from her and others, habits they have that you don't realize how important they are until you're in your other side of it. Like in that instance where I crossfired, it would have been just as easy for her to go, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Do you even know what you're doing? And she was just calm and cool and collective and kept me going right in it. Whereas she'd done the other way, she might have got me out of my rhythm completely as a shooter. So it's that balancing game of bringing your shooters up. Even if your shooters, he's shooting 9s out the top and the bottom. It's still a confidence thing. And I think that's what's the best coaches are really, really good. Nancy's another one. Nancy's really good about it. She's so calm and nice and easygoing. It just gives you confidence.
My first coach ever on a team, and it was a Team USA tryout, was Bob Mead, and I'm laying there shooting, and he says, it's like, all right, let's put some sliders on paper, see what it looks like, and I'm shooting, and it's looking pretty good, and he goes, just let me know when you're ready. I said, I think I have one more to go, and then we're ready to go. He's like, okay, just take your time, whatever. And I shoot, and it's like a high 9, because I said, in my head, I'm like, okay, it's this one, and then we go, right? It's about to get real.
You put that pressure on it, yeah.
So I shoot a 9 up high, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry, let's just do more. It's just we'll start when you're ready. Don't worry about it. Just shoot a few more," and that calmed me down. And then I got back into the gun, and then I started printing better, and then I'm like, okay, now we're ready. He's like, no pressure, I mean, I'm freaking dying there, like just ball of nerves, and he's just so calm, and I remember that. I remember how he made me feel, just so relaxed. He was just so relaxed, and I'm over here like just dying, just so nervous. But it's amazing.
No cares, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I went on to put up a good score. I remember that. My first time ever on the Team USA tryout was Bob Mead. And I felt after that 9, it was still a cider, but I had already said that was going to be my last cider. And when it landed up there, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. And, but anyway, so yeah, a good coach like that will keep their shooters calm, even through adversity, like a crossfire.
Yeah. And for me, learning from the other side, which I guess we'll get to here in a little bit, being a military guy, I'm very to the point. Sometimes maybe I'm a little harsh. Geez, I'm a little harsh with things, but I'm very direct and I'm very to the point. So I've kind of learned from Jim Crofts on the other side of me, on the other front coach chair. He's very calm and very relaxed and more like the Nancy way of things or the Trudy way of things. So in that aspect, there's some shooters. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of like the difference for those that know Mid and Nancy. Mid can be kind of grumbly sometimes, and Nancy's always nice. So there were shooters and there will be shooters that probably don't shoot as well under me as a coach because I'm kind of direct sometimes. I make a decision and I go, whereas Jim's very, very nice, way nicer about things than I am, I guess. I'm kind of sounding like I'm an a-hole or something, but that's the difference between the coaches. I know what you
mean. And it takes, for example, the coach on Team Lapua is Bob Siebold, and you know Bob Siebold.
Right. Yeah.
You put up I've shot, I was always a cleanup shooter on that team as well, and I think at the Burger Nationals, the very first time we won, I was the cleanup shooter. I always was. But anyway, I put up a clean on the last one, and we needed a clean. And I put up a clean score. It was like clean with 14 X's, right? And we knew that we needed that. And I shot clean, and he looks at me and goes, "That was adequate." That was adequate. That's as good as you're going to get from Siebold,
Yeah.
That was the best compliment I ever got from Siebold. He goes, that was adequate,
That sounds about right.
But you know how Siebold is, right? A lot of people, he's let's go. And he's a good coach. But, when you contrast like a Siebold or a Mitt Tompkins to a Trudy or a Nancy or Michelle, or Bob Mead,
right.
It's definitely a contrast. And some shooters are gonna they're probably gonna be more nervous shooting under a Mid Tompkins or a.
Yeah, I think that's some of it too. It's like I think I make, especially the newer folks, I make them a little nervous being as direct as I am.
Right, and of course once you kind of in the game for a while and you've shot them, and then especially after you get to know the people, you realize, okay, it's no big deal. That's just how they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had a shooter. We had just brought on a new shooter on the Team Lapua, and he was about to shoot, and he's kneeling, and then he lays down, and then he kneels again, and then sits down, and Siebold looks at him and goes, "Hey," and of course he's all wired in, right, with the headphones. He goes, "Hey, David," he goes, "can you try to look a little more nervous, please?" And of course, then we all start laughing, and I think that's how Siebold relaxed him. I hope he did.
Right.
But yeah, and then David went on to put up a monster score. But it's just the way Siebold deals with those situations is totally different than the way a Nancy would,
Yeah.
But so anyway, so now you're on the big stage. You're on the big team, right? You try out for the U.S. team.
Yeah.
I remember in Phoenix, that Phoenix tryout. That's one of the you remember the Phoenix tryout?
Yeah.
Where I forget the circumstances, but you and I were supposed to put up big scores. I don't remember the situation, and I remember you and I showed up, and I think I was lucky enough to get top score, and you got second score. Yep. And I remember after we shot, I felt good, and you felt good, and I asked you, how'd you do? And you said, well, I what did you say? I gave them a hard decision to make or something like that. You put it in a way where it's like, I threw my name in the hat hard enough that they can't ignore it,
Yeah.
And
it's not a quick pass over now.
Yeah, it's sometimes that's all you can do, right? Just make a statement and with your shooting,
Yeah.
So, World Championship time. Here it comes, right? Now we got to go to Canada. And I was talking to Rod Davies about this a couple days ago. And it's, for us, I think most of us drove there, right? Did you drive?
Yeah. Yeah, I drove. It was about I think 14, 15 hour drive for us up there from Virginia area. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, like, what's the world championship like? Is that the first one you've been to, or did you go to Raton?
Yeah, 17 was my first world championships. I wasn't at that level yet to go to the 13 worlds. I wasn't ready yet.
So
Um,
what's it like to go to the first world championship? You know, what's it like?
you know, it wasn't it wasn't too bad. We had a little bit of a kind of a buffer because we'd gone up to Canada for the 16 national championship, so we'd been to the range already. So, and like a lot of the other big teams, like the Brits had come over for 16 and so on and so forth. So we were somewhat familiar with the range. We were somewhat familiar with the area, hotels and whatnot. So we were there. But as like Crofts likes to say, I didn't want to go a long way to and suck, you know. So you got that in the back of your mind. You got all your guns, all your ammo, and you're kind of wondering, all right, I'm here. I traveled all this way. Is it gonna shoot 9 to 9 or 8 to 8, or is it actually gonna hold a good water line? Or, you know, so you got that going in the back of your head. But having the nationals before the worlds was a good warm up. So you had a good idea of where you were going to stand. But I guess the most interesting part, the nerve wracking part, is it's one small mistake. The field is so big and so good that all it takes is one bad shot and 8, and you go from, you know, top 5 all the way down to the 30 or 40th place, and it seems like a big dramatic drop, but it's not. That's all it takes. You know, you got the best shooters from the world, so there's so much scrutiny, and plus you're pair firing, whereas in the U.S. we love the string fire. That is our thing. You know, it's very few matches you can go to, very big matches that you can go to and do pair fire. So here you are pair firing with probably not an American, probably a Canadian or a British or a German or an Australian or whoever else. You know, they may not speak English. They might, you know, you're doing the fingers for the score, or, you know, or whatever else. So they may not understand a lick of English. So you got that going too. Or they may have gun problems, or there's a lot of different variables that can go into the world championships, and either you'll do well or it could really sink you.
Yeah, it's just a different stage, right? Just a different.
Correct.
Everything altogether is just different. It just feels different. It's just, even when I think about it, I think of it. It just feels different as to, you know, like when you go to the nationals or go to Southwest Nationals. It's a big match, but it's not a world championship. It's the
Right.
it's just the stakes are much higher at the world championship, and you know the world championship every 4 years, and it moves around
Right.
all over the world. So you know, you almost feel like this is my chance, or I'm not gonna have a chance for the next 4 years, and who knows where it's gonna end up next 4 years. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to go. So just so much more
Right.
pressure.
It is a ton of pressure, and then you throw that pressure into it, and then you could throw the team pressure into it as well. Yeah, it's nerve wracking. It's what, almost 2 weeks of shooting, and it's just, man, it's nerve wracking. It's a lot of pressure. By the time you're done, you're exhausted. You're absolutely exhausted.
And you know the thing about it, you know, it's 10 days. Well, that's how long we're there. But leading up to that competition, there's just
Yeah.
so much going on, just so much in
Yeah.
preparation for it. Because, like I said, it's your one time, right? It's your chance,
Yep.
and it's just
Yep.
so. After the World Championship, did you say, "Screw this! I'm not going to touch this rifle for a while," or were you just still, the fire was still burning?
So I think I finished 14th or something like that in the worlds, which absolutely chapped me. You know, I was doing very well until the last day, and I just had a horrendous relay. So I ended up I think I was top 10 there pretty much the whole way through. And then I had a terrible relay, and then I think I ended up finishing 14th. So that really chapped me, and that kind of still had the drive, I guess, after that.
Oh, okay. So were you on the very last relay of the competition?
Yeah. Yep. I think I shot with Ken Dickerman that last relay, and
Uh-huh.
just got destroyed on that last relay, and I just dropped like a rock in points, and ended up finishing 14th.
Yeah, that last one.
I think you did pretty well in that last one, right? And moved up quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I only dropped 3 on that one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
I
Yeah.
think I dropped like a bunch.
Yeah, that's the one that Todd Hendricks was on, and a lot of people that were doing really good were on that relay, and I think that was the very last one. There was a lot of broken hearts after that string.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. So that gave me the fire still. So I came back and still had the fire to keep going. So I was ready to roll right after 2017. And then we rolled right back into the open team. I started right back with the tryouts with the U.S. Open team, and started shooting under you guys. And then the kind of coaching opportunity came along for me.
So how did that happen? So you're an open shooter. You've always been an open shooter, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, how does this move to FTR happen for you?
It was rough to start. I don't think Dan Bramley, he still gives me grief to this day about it, but it didn't go over very well. I left the open team, but Phil Kelly and Jim Cross had approached me. They were setting up their coaching staff. And something we kind of struggle in F class is the lack of actual F class shooters that are coaches. We don't have a lot of them. We still rely a lot on, the sling style mentality. They're still phenomenal win readers, and we rely on them a lot. But what we're not growing is the F class coaching community. So I had coached there at Butner and around on the East Coast. Nothing to the style of like Team Grizzly or Team Lapua, or on the TR side, like the X-Men or McMillan or whoever. Nothing that style, but I'd done very well with a lot of pickup teams going against Crofts and Phil Kelly and Tracy Hogg and their teams. I don't know if I think I might have beat them once or twice, maybe, but I'd come real close with pickup teams coaching. And they'd seen what I'd done in Canada. Because let's be honest, in Canada, if you didn't know how to read wind, you were not going to do well up there. It's a brutal range.
The pair firing aspect of it.
Right. So they had approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested? Maybe, we're not going to guarantee you anything. There's no guarantee with this. Let's start out with that. Maybe coaching on a Rutland team, or maybe a captain of a Rutland team. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do it." So I was brought on as a coach in that aspect. I left the open team. I left Team Grizzly on shooting for the 4-man team, and I focused towards FTR. And that was kind of one of the requirements for Phil and Jim, was for me to start shooting FTR, which was a little tough. You'd think it works the same way as an open gun. You just shoot it and it works. Which is not the case. I had to put a lot of work into it because they shoot completely different. So go ahead.
Okay, so you make the move, and pretty much they're saying you got to shoot FTR, which.
Right.
If somebody was to tell me that right now, I'd be like, because now you got to start all over. I don't know. I obviously don't know anything about FTR. As far as shooting, I've never shot FTR, so my immediate reaction would be like, I gotta learn how to read wind all over again. I gotta learn how to shoot all over again. All these things. And you get pretty complacent, because you know how it is when you start shooting F open, like you and I did. You have to go through these different iterations of gear combinations to finally find what really works for you. And then once you find it, you don't want to get away from it. Well, now in FTR, that's a whole nother can of worms, because now you're shooting off a
So it's funny. It's funny you mention that, and it goes back to what we talked about in the first part of this, is that asking questions and doing what they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I picked when I went to FTR, I tried to pick a gun that was the most similar to F Open. And that was John Pierce. That was the Pierce guns. So I called up John and said, hey, I'm going to come over to FTR. Your gun is as close as I can get to an open gun. I would like to shoot your style setup. And I did everything John told me on the gun wise. I got his gun. I got his bipod set up. I got his front mat set up. I got his rear bag set up. I didn't change anything. I used exactly what John told me to get. And then I talked to, Jim Crofts and Phil Kelly and those guys. And they told me what loads to run. And that's exactly what I did. At that time, it was 20Xs and Vargate or Vitavori at certain speed. And that's what I did. And it worked. I didn't try and reinvent the wheel. I did exactly what they told me to do. And it worked once I learned how to, shoot the gun and get used to the gun being 2 or 3 targets left of where it's supposed to be after you fired, and how, you can't put, you put too much shoulder in it. You send them out the top or out the bottom, getting used to all that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hang on, you raise your hand. I don't know what this means. So
I don't know either.
There's a hand there. Screwed up my whole screen.
Let me hit lower here. There we go.
There he goes. I don't know what it did, but
I don't know.
We're back
Technology.
in business. So anyway, so now you're an FTR, and of course you have these world-class shooters that you have access to. Kind of like you said, hey, give me the just. And this is a thing that I talked about with F-Class John, and when him and I had a chat, is the shortest way to get there is find someone who's successful and just copy everything they're doing. Just copy it.
Exactly.
And you're going to get there so much faster. Once you do that and you prove to yourself that you can tune that combination that is working for everybody or for a few people, right? Once you can copy that, you can shoot it, you can do that. If you want to experiment later on, fine. But first, start with a known system, right? And which is what you did. I mean, John Pierce, obviously, he's done F-Class, and a lot of people that are shooting his rifle. I mean, that thing looks like a bench rest rifle, right? It's.
But they did the work and they figured it out, and it works.
Yeah, that's what Brian Litz used to shoot as well, right?
Yeah,
that rifle.
Yeah. So, working with John, and then working with my gunsmith Keith Wheel, we were able to figure things out. I'd bounce things off of Keith Wheel, and he'd tell me what he thought or what he didn't think, or what he liked, what he didn't like, and we kind of went from there once I got straight with the gun and kind of figured things out. But I had a lot of success right out the go, which was cool because there's a lot of good shooters that have tried to make the switch over to FDR and have not done well with it. So I had a lot of good success right out of the go.
Well, I'd say so. You go and win the Nationals. That's a statement right there. So was that your first 3 FTR Nationals?
So I shot the first big match I shot with FTR was the Canadian Nationals. I went up to Canada and shot with those guys, and I finished third. I was the top American up there.
Okay.
And finished third. I think Adam McDonald won the Canadian Nationals that year.
Okay.
And I was in it till the last relay, another rough last relay, and I think he beat me by 1 or 2. But so I finished third at Canada, and then I go to Southwest Nationals and I win the Southwest Nationals. It was absolutely awesome. Yeah, it was kind of a dream come true. I'd been so close and open of winning big matches, and it just never happened, because let's face it, once you get to that level, it takes a little bit of luck too to win one of those things.
And I'm so glad you won that, because now when Jim Crofts talks smack, I can say, look, man, we had an open shooter that went to TR and he won the Nationals. You came up, you did okay, but you didn't win. So it's obvious who's the better shooter. And obviously, as long as I don't ever shoot FTR, he can't dispute it. So
right, there you go.
But yeah, so you win the Southwest Nationals because obviously you've been trying to win it in F Open,
right?
And you show up in TR, and how did that go? Did things just line up? What happened? Tell me.
Yeah. You know, the big advantage I had is I'm a very good wind reader. Um, and the TR gun, let's face it, that 308 bullet moves a lot. Especially out there in Phoenix with that open range, you get some wind and it really moves. And after the first day, I think the Palma day, I was sitting like fourth or fifth. I was only a point or two off of the lead. And then the second day, I cleaned it. So first match, I shot a 212X, I think. So for my first clean of 1,000 yards in TR, I was the only clean for that match. And then the second match, the wind really came up. I mean, it went to howling, and I've kind of I was watching and trying to figure out what worked. And what I figured out is when one of the closest flags off to the right of me, which doesn't make a lot of sense because at that time it was I guess it was this way. So it was an upwind flag. So if it would come out at a certain angle, I'd fire, and I'd keep firing until I seen it go. It seemed like every time it would do something else, we'd get some crazy elevation shots. But it was blowing so hard, probably 15, 20 mile an hour. I was good with nines. I was absolutely perfectly happy with shooting nines. That's one thing you got to realize in TRs. Open nines are death. You don't ever, everybody's trying to clean it all the time. Well, in TR, sometimes nines are pretty darn good because that dang 308 bullet moves a lot. So I was happy with nines. If I shot a nine, I was going. Where other guys were shooting eights and sevens, or eights, or just nining it to death. And after that last relay, I think I dropped 8 in that whole mess of things. Maybe it was not 8 or 9, but with that one relay, I took it was a big shift, and I think going into the last day at a 6-point lead.
Wow.
Which is a pretty good substantial lead.
Yeah, especially because on the last day you only have 2 matches, so they have less chance, just less chance to catch you, in a way.
But you think, on that last day, it's funny because people know you're in the lead. Your buddies know you're in the lead. It's almost like you're like you have a disease. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to get near you. They're like, they don't want to say something or do something that'll screw you up. So nobody really wants to talk to you. So I found myself kind of off by myself, just kind of thinking about the day, listening to music, and just kind of getting ready to go for the match. And shoot the first relay, shoot a 197 or something, which tied the high score. So here I am, 6 points going to the last relay of the day. Nervous. I mean, really, really, really nervous. Like I'm laying there. My first sighter goes down range, and I got the shakes really bad. And, it's a nerve-wracking thing. I actually had Trace, another thing about, the comparison between open and TR is open guns, they don't leave the target. If you have a decent setup, your open gun stays on the target. It's much more difficult to crossfire in open than it is in TR. Whereas TR, you shoot, and most of the time the gun's, on the target 1 or 2 to the left of you, you move it back and you go. But Tracy Hogg had taught me something, you shoot and move it back before you open the bolt. So I shot, moved it back, and this is like 5 or 6 shots in my string. Moved it back, got it on target. Target went down, came back up. I put a new round in, closed the bolt. And when I closed the bolt, somehow I hit the trigger.
Wow.
Last string of the day, leading the Southwest Nationals, hit the trigger, closing the bolt. If it hadn't been for that lesson,
I got chills.
I know. And Dan Polevel saw it happen. If it hadn't been for Tracy Hogg and that lesson of moving the gun back and having it on where you want your dot to be when you're getting ready to shoot next, I'd have lost the Southwest Nationals more than likely.
Well, that would have been 10 points. Wow.
Yeah, I shot a 9.
Wow.
Even if, so I shot a 9, and I kind of stopped a minute and just gathered myself, and then went on and shot the string. I think I shot a 193 or 94 or something like that. and it was
Not,
enough to
is
take the
pressure
lead.
after you do that? Is pressure? Is it gone or does it build even more after you just literally?
For
At
me,
that,
it was gone.
I was gonna say at that
For
point you
me, it
must
was like,
think, okay, if I get through this, psh, you know what I mean? Let it rip. You know?
at that point, I kind of told myself, okay, idiot, get your head out of you nowhere and let's pull this together and get this done. And that's the way it went, you know. Yeah, the pressure
Wow.
was very interesting. But
It's
that's part of it. That's what you know, that's how you learn, you know. And I held the lead from the second day on. I had the lead. So you have that amount of pressure. It's
yeah.
it's a lot easier to come from behind and win it on the last day than it is to take it from, you
Yeah,
know, from
to
the go and then
hang on to the
to hang
lead.
on to it.
Yeah, because
Right.
every day that you have the lead, like you said, you know, two things are going to happen. Either people come up to you and congratulate you, which
Right.
I never like because that just adds to the pressure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or people just stay away from you, right?
Yeah. Like you got
And
the plague. Yeah. That was my
yeah,
case.
that happened to me in Ireland. I was 2011, new guy on the U.S. rifle team, and I'm shooting pretty well. And then I have Jim Murphy come up to me and tell me that I'm doing really well. Just pressure, just because I'm. All of a sudden, I'm like, I can't screw up. I mean, what am I? I'm gonna let him down, and he's gonna, you know. And all of a sudden, all these bad thoughts just bounce around in my head, just because I have, you know, Jim Murphy, John Brewer, you know, all these freaking legends telling me how well I'm doing, and that to me it just added to the pressure, you know.
Right. Right. You know, in that same crime too, I got Ian Klim, Mr.
Yeah, can't miss.
National Champion himself, you know,
Yeah.
uh, whatever it is, 3 or 4 times. And I got Peter Johns and a couple other guys that were nipping at my heels, you know, so they're just waiting for me to screw up. And then it's all go as you've been there and done that. You've lost, I'm sure you've lost matches like I have where you've gone in the last day, the last match, and man, it just went away. You just somebody came and took it from you, or you
You just hand
just
it to
lost
him.
it, you know? Yeah.
And that's the big thing, right? It's you look at who's below you and you're like, holy crap, I got all these freaking assassins right
Yeah.
behind me, just waiting to strike. And like you said, it is easier to come from behind. Those guys are just because they have nothing to lose,
Right.
technically, right?
Right.
And they're just shooting. You, there's a difference between shooting to win and shooting not to lose. It's a whole different mindset. And I think that's what happened to you when you had that shot. You went from shooting not to lose to just, you know what, screw it. Let me just shoot to win
Right.
and let's go. And all of a sudden it's just a whole different state of mind that happens when
Yep.
you know, I've had that switch. I've literally I was talking to Mr. Basham about it, and I told him, I said, I've had to have conversations with myself. Go, hey, pay attention, look at the wind, look at the flags, just quit being a little bitch and get back into this. Literally, I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm sure you
Stop hoping for it to happen and make it happen, basically.
exactly, and then just calm yourself down and get back into it. You know, I mean, as you know, we shoot in F open really light triggers. And I've been, you know, my trigger's about 1 ounce, and I've been in situations where I'm so stressed that the trigger feels like a 10-pound trigger. And I'm like, go. And I'm just so scared as to what's going to happen. And about that time is when I got to stop and go, all right, dude, you've been here before. Just do what you need to do, you know?
Or if you catch a liner, you know, you catch a liner 10 because you weren't paying attention. Like you get in that routine of got to shoot fast and you shoot a liner 10, you're like, all right, stop here a minute. You know how to read the wind, stop, read the wind, and then proceed.
Or, you know what? The first time I ever won the Texas State Championship, I remember the last string of the day because I was behind. And I remember that I shot a 9. And I knew it was going to be a 9. I called it. You know when you shoot and you go, oh, it's gonna be a 9.
Yeah.
And I was stressed. And when I shot that 9, it did something to me that it almost reinforced me that I knew what I was doing. The fact that I called it before I shot, and I said, "Oh, that's gonna be a 9 to the right," and it appeared, and I said, "You know what? I know what I'm doing. Even when I know even when a 9's gonna come up, I know what I'm doing, man."
Right.
And I just went for it, and I think I ended up shooting a 199 or something, 198, and I only needed like a 196 to win when it was all said and done, you know. But
Right.
I went in behind, but that 9 just somehow made
Calmed
the
you.
difference. It calmed me
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, I know what I'm looking at. Just trust it and go.
Yeah.
So, so you win the Nationals or the Southwest Nationals, right?
Right.
Big win. Just a
Yeah.
huge win, right?
Huge for me. Yeah. Huge win for
Well,
me.
for anybody. I mean, that is. I mean, I know we have the Nationals and we have the Burger Nationals. Uh, those are two big matches that.
Right.
I mean, for in the U.S., it really doesn't get any bigger than that.
It
And
doesn't.
some will claim that the Burger is actually a bigger match than the Nationals. I mean, the same people are there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I'll
So,
take it either way.
no, I was gonna say it's one of the. I'll take one or the other. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
My name's on the trophy. I'll take it.
it'll be there forever. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
So now you go and you win the Burger Nationals. How does that help your? I'm gonna call it a trajectory, your FTR trajectory.
So it actually helped quite a bit. And I didn't know, some of it until later, until Phil Kelly had filled me in. There was a lot of folks on the team, and they had every right. Let me preface that they had every right to think this is like, who is this Keith Trapp guy, and why is he a coach for the FTR team when he doesn't shoot FTR? He shoots F open. There was a lot of that, and it was from, senior guys on the team and girls that had every right to ask that question, because you're right. I wasn't an established coach, and I wasn't an FTR guy. And Phil and those guys had told me that later on. But what I come to find out, me winning, doing as well as I did in Canada, and then winning the Southwest Nationals, that kind of solidified. It kind of made their pick stand out for them. It gave them that kind of ammo they needed to say, yeah, this is what we were talking about with bringing him on as a coach. And then I think I coached the U.S. guys that year as well. I think we finished third. That year I don't remember whether it was Team Texas that won or whether it was the Team U.S. team that won under Crofts and Kelly. But either way, I think we finished third, which was a good showing for a guy that really, that was my first ever big match coaching. And then we came around the next year, and we won Southwest Nationals with me as the head coach. And then, I had Kent Reeves as the back coach. So, pretty.
Who?
Yeah. So we won, but I can't take much credit for that. And the coaching side, being able to coach Team USA guys, being able to have 4, 5, 6 guys, depending on how your team's set up, that have phenomenal guns, that are great shooters, the best shooters in the U.S., and being able to coach them is absolutely awesome, because there's no questions. I don't have to ask, is that the gun? Is that the shooter? Yeah. What it is on target is that's all on me as a coach. That's what it is.
It's just a whole nother level, man. It's just a whole nother level of I'm not even gonna say level of shooter, but it's a level of commitment that those shooters have. That's why they're there, to the team and to performing well. Nobody wants to be the guy that cost, or the shooter that cost the win for the team, right? So they all prepare.
Right.
Honestly, I prepare way harder for a team match than I do for an individual match.
Yeah.
It's just,
I feel the same way. For me, it's all about the team aspect of it, because you don't, like you said, you don't want to let them down. Now it's an interesting thing as a coach that shoots. If you're shooting individuals, especially if you're doing well in individuals, it's very taxing as a coach to go back and coach them. What I found is if I do poorly in individuals, typically I do well in coaching, or at least that's the year that we won. That's what happened. But yeah, it worked out that way. I think that year the year we won, we set a record. And a lot of it was, I got to give some real big credit to Kent Reeves because it was a strategy thing. We had a little different strategy. Matter of fact, the year I won it, you guys won it. We were sitting next to each other because we talked about, you guys were talking about which teams to watch. And I specifically remember you telling, I don't remember who it was. You told somebody that, no, I don't want to watch Trapp and his team. They're going to put it in the middle. I need somebody that's not going to do that.
It's true. You don't want to see somebody who's putting X's all the time because it's pointless. You want to see what Speedy calls a weather report.
Right.
You want them, they push right. Because back to what you said earlier, everybody there, especially on the U.S. teams, their guns are on. So if they go right, there was a pickup or there was a let off, So it's
but you guys kind of helped us in that too. Because your teams, you started going. And maybe not a condition I would have shot in because it was light and not the most, it was hard to see, but you guys were killing it. So I kind of conned Kent into going. So we got going and we were doing well. And then the wind come up and it was lucky enough where you guys had finished your two shooters and we had to stop. Kent had set a boundary on me once we got to a 4 left, let's call it a 4 left, that I wasn't allowed to go any more than that. That was his way of putting the reins on me as a coach. So once we hit that point, we stopped. And that's about the time some of the other teams, they started going. And they felt that, their strategy was shooting a little stronger stuff, but it would be more consistent that way. At that time, it turned out not to be the best strategy. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
So what's it like for you as a coach to take a chance that pays off, right? We were next to you just tearing up the X ring and the 10 ring, and you're like, you know what, I should probably go, and you jump in and it pays off for you, and then the time that you see that it's starting to go to hell, you stop, and that's when you see all your competition jump in and they just get slaughtered. What's it like? How does your confidence boost? I mean, it has to.
Yeah, it boosts because of that. You're like, all right, that was the right call. It boosts start with a good gun and a good shooter. When they're keeping a tight water line, that's confidence all you need in that aspect. And then once you figure out that you made the right strategic decision to go start at that point and then stop, sometimes that's probably the hardest point is when to stop, because you could stop and that's stupid to raise your hand. I stopped moving my hands. You could stop and be the absolute wrong time. And then it could get worse, and then you got to try and come in on that, and then take a huge score. Or you could stop, and it could have been the same. You just didn't realize. So it's huge confidence.
Yeah, the worst thing that can happen, it's happened to me, and it happened to me at the Nationals. I was shooting, and Madison Bramley was shooting right next to me, and built, and I'm keeping up with it, and I said, I'm going to stop, and I stopped. And she just kept shooting, and she just kept shooting. She was just
hammering
it, and she shot it clean. And I was like, oh. And the worst part is watching her shoot clean. And I know she was keeping up with the build, right? But I stopped like on 5, and now it's at 9, for example, And I'm like, I can't jump back in because I don't know where to jump in at, And she just kept up with it, and she shot it clean. I think she only dropped like 3 for the day at 1,000. Yeah. And I jumped out, and the whole time I'm just watching her just pound that X ring, and I'm like, I don't know where to jump in at. So I just, I said, well, live and learn, and I just watched her shoot an amazing
Yeah, at the same
score.
time, though, sometimes, you're shooting along and you just can't get off the train. You can't, you just can't stop shooting, and you're just nining it to death.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And that's what I was afraid I was going to do. Of course, I'd never been
Yeah,
to Indiana before, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it was just going to, you know how Phoenix, you can chase Phoenix for a while, and at some point
right.
you better jump off because it's going to
Yeah,
get
because it's
bad.
going to burn you. Yeah,
And then you just catch it again and ride it again, and that's kind of how I took that range. And like I said, it didn't hurt me bad. Of course, I jumped back in with an 8 when I finally jumped in, and I was like, oh, like I said, after watching Madison just shoot a
right,
clean. But anyways, it's all about decisions, right? But it's
right.
one thing when I'm deciding for myself versus deciding for a team or deciding for a shooter. But
Yeah, it's completely and utterly different the way you go about the strategy of whether it's be individual or whether it's for a team. But so many times, you see shooters, especially new shooters, they just go bang, bang, bang. And what they don't realize, they don't have the wherewithal or whatever you want to call it to realize that nobody else on the line is shooting. You know,
yeah,
you may not know what's going on. We had a local guy that same thing. He knew we shot a matchup in Delaware, this Delaware State Championship. He knew that he didn't know what was going on, but he knew that I had stopped. So he stopped.
hmm
And every time that I would start, he would start. And he wasn't the best. He's not the best win reader. He's getting pretty good pretty quick, but he had enough enough forethought to notice that and kind of stick with it.
well, he's
And
he's smart enough to know who to
I've done
chase.
that too right, I've done that too, with other shooters. If maybe conditions not quite right, I'll wait and see what other guys are doing. If I see them doing well, then maybe I'll jump in on it. And the same thing on the coaching.
Yeah. So what's next? I mean, you're TR for life now. Did they give you the brand like in Yellowstone where
No, so no brand. So I'll shoot TR. I'm set to shoot TR through the World Championships in 2023 in South Africa.
Mhm.
And then after that, I have no clue. I enjoy the coaching. I would like to continue the coaching piece, whether it's for the U.S. team or not. I don't know. Not sure on that where that'll go from there. I'll probably shoot both. After that, I'll probably shoot some open, probably shoot some TR. But I'm not exactly sure which avenue I'm going to take. We'll see how it goes from there. I've got some guys that have been trying to get me to shoot a little bit of PRS. I don't know if I'm going to. I have a gun. I've had a gun, PRS gun, for 4 years now with an A tagger sitting on top of it. It's sitting in the safe. I just haven't got that time. I don't understand how some of these guys, you and some others that have the time to shoot multiple different disciplines. F class takes so much of your time.
I'll tell you how I do PRS. Don't keep score. I go to matches, and that's it. Like I just shoot. I don't care about the score. I don't care about anything, and that's how you can do it. You just go have fun. If you
Right.
try to treat it like the way we treat F class, there's not enough time to do both.
Yeah, I don't have enough time for all of that. I'd like to shoot a little bit across the course, on the military side, and I just don't have time. F class takes so much of my time. So
It does. So you going through all this, and this entire time you've had Keith Wheel just dragging you down. What's that been like?
so yeah, the Keith and the Keith show, I guess.
So
Yeah,
what's
so
it like? What's it like? Because I mean, a lot of us have decided to do on barrel work.
Right.
In your situation, you and Keith, we are so close that obviously you trust that little guy. How has having a really good relationship with your gunsmith helped through all this? Because I think that's a big thing.
It's humongous. It's absolutely humongous. One, he has the technical knowledge. Maybe I could chamber a barrel. I don't know. Maybe later on down the road I'll get interested. But so in that aspect, I don't have to worry about anything. And the nice thing about Keith is, we give a lot of grief back and forth, as everybody probably that's been around us knows. I'm the taller, much better looking version of his shorter, much angrier version. But he's the most picky person, the most attention to detail person I probably ever met in my life. You can see some of his work, like his bedding stuff. But I'm able to bounce like reloading ideals or different link barrels, or what if we try this? What if we try that? He's able to give me a good solid answer back and forth, or even load development. Like I will send him load development. I'll do a Cortina test and send to him, and I won't tell him anything. I'll send him the test, and he'll tell me where he thinks the node is, and then I can, all right, this is where I thought it was. This is where he thinks it is. And 9 times out of 10, we're very close. And he'll do the same thing to me with his open stuff. He'll shoot his test and send it to me and say, which one do you think? And I'll pick one and I'll send it back to him. So in that aspect, it's that verification of what you're doing. So in that aspect, I've really had a lot of good luck, and really value that, both the friendship and the gunsmith side of things when it comes to shooting.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. I just knew, like I said, I just know having a good gunsmith, having a good relationship with your gunsmith, or even doing your own work it's almost one of those things that you almost need in order to do well in F class. You know what I mean?
And let's face it, we all make dumb, stupid mistakes, decisions, like your thing with F class John and his Ruger rifles. Sometimes I need Keith Will to say, what are you doing, you idiot? That's not gonna work. Let's not do that. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, there's always that. And we all go down that road. Of trying to win based on ballistics and not much
that
knowledge.
Works.
Yeah, right.
That'll work.
It works 100% of the time.
Yeah,
never
use the biggest bullet and make it go the absolute fastest, and that'll win me the match.
Yeah,
I can 100% tell you that is not the case.
It's amazing, but it's hard to argue against the ballistic tables, right? I mean, I've had,
right.
As you know, I mean, you probably do know, I get approached by a lot of people, and there was this one guy recently that sent me. He's like, "Look, I'm shooting my 223 at just crazy speeds, right?"
Right.
He says, "This thing can beat a 308." I said, "No, it can't." And he says, No. Look, the ballistic tables, this bullet with the 308, my 223, the ballistic tables all show that it can shoot inside of a 308. So because of the less recoil, this thing can beat a 308. And I don't understand why people are not doing it." I said, "Well, they're not doing it because it doesn't work." And I mean, I never could get it through him because he hasn't been there, right?
Right.
And he's just purely looking at the ballistic tables. And of course, now I'm an a-hole in his mind, because I'm the numbers, everything points in his direction, but yet I'm over here telling him that it doesn't work.
Right.
And I'm like, "Look, man, you aren't the first one that has hot rodded the 223.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's just not as consistent as a 308. If it worked, they would just hot rod a 308, and But anyway, it's so I have this conversation, and it's almost impossible to win that argument because, like I said, all the numbers point, all the data supports their argument. However, real world experience, which is what I have, doesn't
on
support.
Target.
Yeah, on target data doesn't support that argument.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
I said, but I think that's the reason why so many people go, and I've been guilty of it, go chase the higher ballistics, and it just,
we all have.
Nothing beats consistency, as you know.
And you look at the 284 in the open side of the house. It's not the fastest thing. It's not a magnet, but man, it is consistent. It does the job. It's kind of like, if my 2 cents. I started out, I was a big proponent of the WSM 300 WSM. It's phenomenal caliber. I know you shot one for a while. I don't think, and I know guys have won it mid-range, but in a long range, maybe somebody's going to prove me wrong, but nobody's done it yet. I don't think a WSM can win a long range string fire national championship. It's
been one. Derek Rogers.
Yeah.
But that was back when obviously I don't know. I wasn't there in California, but Derek Rogers, TR shooter, showed up with a
Yep.
300 WSM when nobody really was shooting WSMs or anything, and he won the nationals. But it's just one
It's so hard to keep the
isolated
pace
event.
of fire with those things compared to like a 284. And if you watch guys like Gosnell or Todd or whoever else, the pace of fire you can keep with a 284 versus WSM
Well, you
is
shot
different.
next. You shot next to us on team day, and like you
Yeah,
said, you guys were shooting, and we were done with both shooters.
yeah,
Just and that window is so small sometimes. That window in which you can shoot and put up some high scores, and the 284, you just
it's
man,
phenomenal.
you just rip them down.
And on a pair fire setup, yeah, I think the 300 is a lethal combination. Um, guys like Rod and Kenny Adams have managed those RSOMs. They've
Yeah,
managed to make those RSOMs sing. So what's the right answer? I don't know. But it's pretty easy to see that the 284 has been the tried and true.
yeah.
Look at how many guys have done well with it. And I say 284. That's all
Yeah.
versions of.
284 and its variants. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and all the different names and variants of. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, Keith, I appreciate your time, man. This has been awesome, as I knew it would
Yeah,
be.
brother. Yeah.
And I know this is gonna help a lot of people. Just hearing someone like you that, it's you came up so fast and started kicking ass, taking names, and still doing it. So,
I hope
thank you.
so. I hope it does help. Yeah, man.
All right, man. Thank you. Take
We'll
care.
see you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
And I